Welcome back to another edition of Words of the Week. This is Stephanie with Apex Languages. Today, we're going to talk about prejudice. So, yes, this is a more serious topic than usual, but as you may know, yesterday was a holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Who was he? If you'd like to learn more, I highly recommend this book. The Who Was series is excellent for English language learners because they provide a lot of information at a third grade reading level. The short version for now, however, is that Martin Luther King Jr. was an important leader of the civil rights movement. Inspired by Mahatma Gandhi in India, he helped organize African Americans to peacefully protest against racial inequality. Even though blacks in the United States were technically free, they were no longer slaves, they were still treated like trash, especially in the South. The civil rights movement tried to put a stop to this and was largely successful. It didn't just help the African Americans, though, but also improved things for all minorities. For this reason, we honor him as a nation on his birthday. I'm going to play a short portion of his most famous speech now. It's nice and slow, so good for listening practice. It's also just a great speech. Enjoy.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Now, for the word itself, repeat after me. Prejudice, prejudice, prejudice. What part of speech is it? It's a noun. And where does it come from? Latin. Prejudice is a combination of pre and the Latin word for legal proceedings or a judgment. Pre is a very common prefix that you find in English words. It means before. So you're judging things before what? Before you have any knowledge or you've thought things out. All right, so in the dictionary you see opinions or feelings, especially negative and or unreasonable ones, formed without knowledge, thought, or reason. Prejudice is what you feel, what you think about something. Okay, so it can be positive. Because of my prejudice for pie, I rarely celebrate my birthday with cake and candles. Oh, this is true. I like pies. Okay, I prefer pie. So it kind of has this idea of preference. But prejudice normally has a negative connotation. And so prejudice against women makes it harder for us to get high-ranking, good-paying jobs. You can say preference, but when you use prejudice, the focus is on the fact that it's illogical. Why do women make less money than men? Why were blacks treated so poorly, or other races back then and still today? There's no reason for it. People form their opinions, and they don't change their minds. You can give them a lot of reasons why prejudice is bad, that their prejudice is bad, but they can be very stubborn and stick to their ways. That's the idea of prejudice, that you don't think about things, you just believe something. As for the parts of speech, there's not a lot. Okay. Prejudice can also be used as a verb, but it isn't most of the time. Okay, so if you wanted to use it as a verb to affect with a bias, either positive or negative, so his good looks prejudiced the committee's decision. Okay, maybe he's not a good candidate for a job, but because he's handsome, well, maybe we'll find room for you. Okay, so it's affecting people's decisions. It's making them not think clearly. Much more common is the adjective, or it's actually a past participle, right? We took our verb, we added the ed ending, and you've got an adjective now. So prejudiced. He was prejudiced. He was not neutral, intolerant, narrow-minded. Again, it can have a positive or negative meaning to it, but really, most of the time, it's negative, okay? Having heard that this judge was prejudiced, the man worried that he would not have a fair trial. Okay, not a good thing. You want your judges to not have prejudices. Now, synonyms. Synonyms are words that have the same meaning. Okay. Discrimination. These two words go together very often, but they do not have the same exact meaning. Okay. Prejudice, again, is your opinion, how you feel about something. Discrimination is the action that you take because of it. So discrimination, African Americans could not go to the same schools. They could not sit in the front of a restaurant. They could not drink from the same water fountains. Those were laws, those were actions that were taken against the minority because of the prejudice. Okay. Little closer to an actual synonym, bias. I mentioned that one before. It's such a useful word. I always teach that to my students. Bias is being not neutral. So you're a Democrat or a Republican, you like cats or you like dogs, okay? That is, you like pie or cake, okay? Bias is one way or another not being neutral. You do have an opinion because you're a human being, so you have a bias, okay? Bigotry. Bigots, so the noun is bigot, is a person who that has prejudice, okay? So they believe something, they're not going to change their mind, and they're jerks as a result of it. So bigotry is another word for prejudice. Chauvinism is a good word. It refers more commonly to men treating women poorly. So that one's a little bit more specific, but if you're interested in the feminist movement, chauvinism is an excellent word. And so a man who tries to mansplain things, okay, who doesn't treat women well is a chauvinist. Okay, chauvinism, chauvinist. And then xenophobia, my favorite X word. Xenophobia is fear of people who are different. So, just fearing what's different for the sake of it's not one of us. So xenophobia is just a good Greek word. All of these together lead to racism. So that's another word. Again, prejudice is an opinion, discrimination is an action. Racism is more similar to discrimination, okay? Because you have a prejudice, it results in racism, treating people differently because of their race. Let's balance the scale a little bit with some antonyms. Those are words that have the opposite meaning. If you've ever seen this bumper sticker before, coexist. That's a verb. It means to exist together, peacefully, ideally, right? So instead of having a prejudice, just live with people happily. Okay, that's a verb. Non-prejudiced. So we had our past participle prejudiced. If you want to say the opposite, He's a fair judge. He's non-prejudiced. So you put the non in front of that. And as far as a noun, prejudice is a noun, tolerance. So the answer to prejudice is tolerance. That just means accepting people, having an open mind, and not being mean. Don't be mean. Practice makes perfect. Homework time? Okay. 2 questions for you. Why is it important to avoid having personal prejudices? And what can you do to stop discrimination if you see it or are a victim of it? Again, I'm getting a little bit more serious with these questions, but they're good things to consider, especially the last one. If you're a victim of discrimination, what can you do? Post your answers underneath the video in the comments section or send me an email. And while you're at it, check out apexlanguages.com, sign up for the videos. I'll deliver them right to your emails, nice and easy. I hope you have a great day, guys. Thank you, as always, for watching my videos.